Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. This is an important conference for us today. Today, the Fijian Tourism Expo comes to a successful close this afternoon, and the lasting impression the Fijian government and its people leave in the minds of the international buyers and exhibitors and the media is to be a very mindful one, which calls on each individual to regard Fiji as a precious destination. The government earlier this year launched the Green Growth Framework for Fiji. And this living document is focused on rebalancing three pillars of sustainable development, which is economic, social, and environment, and supporting the vision for a better Fiji for all, taking into consideration the global and regional developments on green growth. This framework is guided by 8 principles, of which the top 3 are most relevant to the tourism industry, and that's namely reducing our carbon footprint by ensuring new developments are more environmentally friendly, new integrated approach whereby all stakeholders collectively work together for the common good, and strengthening and social and cultural education basically for environmental stewardship and civic responsibility. Now, under the environmental pillar, the thematic areas are building resilience to climate change and disasters, waste management and sustainable island and ocean resources. And this is something which is quite dear to the Prime Minister. I'm sure you would have all heard him earlier on this week being very vocal about it. Despite the fact that globally the travel industry is perceived to have the highest carbon footprint, it's most important to recognize the efforts of the key industry partners who are taking momentous steps in trying to offset the carbon emissions from tourism-related activities through innovation. Educating our visitors on the environmental issues affecting our nation begins with all the international partners that we have, and it's my humble request to all of them that when they're selling Fiji to their clients, they make them aware that Fiji has a very delicate ecosystem, and whilst they come here to enjoy our beautiful country, and we would like for them to also share the love and appreciation that we Fijians have for our natural environment. Fiji has sterling examples of industry partners who have been conscious of the fragile nature of Fiji's natural environment and have already put environmental best practices in place to ensure its sustainability. And some of the ones that are here today, I take my hat off to all of them, and that's Talanoa Treks, and also Rukumbati Island Resort and Mamanu, the Environmental Society. I will let them explain as to what they actually do, but this is something dear to the heart of the government. We love our country, we want it protected, and it's great to see that something is being done. But as I said earlier, it's something that needs to be done collectively, and Tourism Fiji will be an active partner in the actual collective approach to what I just said earlier.
Okay, thank you very much, members of the press. As the Honourable Minister has just spoken, environmental concerns are a large ticket item for the whole world, and for Fiji, we make a large recognition of that. Our tour operators realise that it is our unique environment that creates so much enjoyment for visitors when they come to Fiji. And whether it's diving, surfing, sailing, or utilising going through the beautiful green, lush forests that we have available, we need to maintain that environment. Going forward with operators such that with us today that will speak on what they're doing, you'll see that we're trying to encourage all new operations and existing operations to take up the charge under the Prime Minister's initiative, which is the Green Growth Framework. So Tourism Fiji will be working closer with a lot of organisations, whether it be diving, sailing, surfing, moving forward. But we just want to make sure that everyone's aware and bring up that conscious understanding of what's happening in the world. And if Fiji has to be that country that leads the rest of the world, then so be it. So we're going to make a stand for all. Thank you.
Vinaka, Talanoa Treks, Matthew, if you could give us a little bit about what Talanoa Treks is about and your environmental standards.
Sure. Uranaka. My name is Matthew. Talanoa Treks specialises in multi-day hikes through Fiji's, you might say, hidden interior. We're a company very much founded on Fiji's beautiful environment, its pristine forest, its sparkling rivers. That's why guests want to come with us, and that's what we want to show them. But we also know that we have a responsibility to maintain that environment as well, working with our communities. We have 4 partner communities up in the interior VT level and 2 locally managed lodges that we work with. And together we work out a strategy to make sure that we are minimising any damage that we cause to the environment by being there, while also encouraging the concept of stewardship for that environment. Another strong pillar of what we're doing is around cultural sustainability and cultural heritage, which we feel is a really major part of this wider picture around sustainability. We have a sustainability policy which is available on our website, open to everyone to view, which is very much integrated in our day-to-day activities. Some examples of the kind of thing that are in there. We deliver guide training to guides in each of the communities we work with. As part of that guide training, we talk about environmental responsibility. We talk about the value of the environment in discussion with the village. They share stories with us, and ultimately those stories are shared with our guests around their stewardship of the land, how they've cared for the land over the years, and how they interact with the land. You know, some positive, some negative. But from that, we look to find ways forward to ensure that the environment is preserved for our guests travelling through. As a company, we operate a leave no trace policy. So anything we take in, we take out again and are able to dispose of at the appropriate sites in the cities, and nothing's left behind in the interior. We keep track of our carbon emissions from all of our vehicles, and we recycle wherever possible. So in this heat, we consume lots and lots of water. We're very fortunate to have water companies based in Fiji, so we're not shipping in water from overseas. But we do have the plastic waste from that, and we're very conscious that we need to manage that properly, and wherever we can, that all gets recycled. On the cultural heritage side, we work with the Fiji Museum. We've brought them up to a number of our communities to do cultural heritage mapping, to work with them over the respect of the past, the culture as it exists now, and the preservation of that for generations to come. And as I say, I think the cultural sustainability and environmental sustainability here in Fiji are very much intertwined, and we see them as we work with them together. We're also members, and very proud members, of Nature Fiji Marangeti Viti, Fiji's only local conservation NGO, who do great work all over Fiji. Thank you.
Steve, from the Mamanuca Environment Society, if you could share with us the amazing work that you've been doing out on the islands.
Bulavanaka, everyone, Minister. Thank you for having me today. The Mamanuca Environment Society was established and first thought of about 14 years ago. It has been drawn up as a non-profit organisation and funded by member resorts of the Mamanuca group of islands. We also have some leading sponsors. The work that we've done over the last 10 years has been incredibly attracted the focus of some great sponsors for us. Fiji Airways is now a sponsor of ours. ANZ has been a long-term sponsor of ours. Paradise Beverages, KPMG, to name a few. Without these people and the members' contributions, this organisation would not operate. We run with 5 staff, and they provide a service not only to the resorts who are members in terms of keeping them on the straight and narrow with their environmental policies, but educating guests as well. We have education nights for our guests in all the resorts. But we do a lot of site work in terms of coral reef planting, and they do reef checks regularly to make sure that there's nothing happening with our reefs. We do COTS programs, removal of crown of thorns programs around the reefs, and we keep a very close eye on that because they can easily take over reefs and destroy them very quickly. All the resort members do have their water tested quarterly to check for nutrients and any changes in our seawater, which can ultimately also affect the sea life and also the coral, which, as we know, is all fragile. I think one of the fundamental things that we as the Mamanuca Environmental Society do is this concept that all the resorts in the Mamanucas, we have a moral responsibility to be conscious of where we are, because without our environment we wouldn't exist. People come to swim, they come to snorkel, they want to see fish life, they don't want to see burnt out coral, dirty sea, and so we're very conscious of that. In the last few years we've been very fortunate. We were able to get a UNDP grant, which enabled us to actually do a research and put together the first white paper on turtle conservation and hatching in Fiji, and in fact most of the South Pacific. This paper is the first white paper, and it's actually being used now in the conservation of our turtles around the Mamanuca group, and also is being used by fisheries, which is quite remarkable. So, and we have now got a second loan just recently, which is now the education step of it, in that we are in the villages educating our kids and our local landowners in Matangali on preservation, and actually how to handle eggs found, or what to actually do with them, and how to manage them so that actually we are not actually depleting our turtle resources. A lot of our focus obviously is based on our coral and under the water, but most recently we've just discovered an endangered species of iguana, which is being found on Malolo, which has caused huge amounts of excitement. We only have 5, which I'm keeping at our Likalika resort, and we're working very closely in hand with San Diego Zoo, on our partners of ours, and Taronga Zoo in Sydney, who are helping us with to set up a breeding program and actually start working on it. Kula Park has been extraordinary. Recently they released 32 iguanas on Monariki Island, and these iguanas are extraordinary animals and really need to be looked after. Unfortunately, over the last 150 years we've destroyed their environment. The dry forests of the Mamanuca Islands are now classified as one of the most endangered ecosystems on the planet. And unfortunately, we've got to start replanting. And we've already introduced programs to replant our leases with dry forest species. And these little animals have been brought to almost a point of extinction. In fact, they thought the ones on Malolo were extinct. So this is a great find, and we're very excited about that. But the iguanas are island genetic specific. This is what's so unusual about these iguanas. They are, one island DNA is very different to the next. They may look the same, but their DNA is different. So you shouldn't be crossbreeding them. So they're extraordinary animals, and we're very, very fortunate to have them, and they're very exciting to have this happening as we're talking. So MES is integral in actually the education of this, and also we are now very heavily involved in tree planting exercises on land. So we're covering both land and sea at the moment, which is really great to see. And I think that sums up, and I'm sorry I've taken so long.
That's all right.
Rather not to say.
But it's important.
Okay, and Jenny, before Jenny speaks, if I may just highlight that the north is an area that isn't usually highlighted because there aren't that many operations on the north part of the North Island of Fiji. So if you think about the north, there's Savusavu down the south of the north, but then there's Nukumbati, which is in just to the north of Lambasa.
Due north, yes. Honorable Minister, Chairman of the Board, and members of the press. My name is Jenny Levi Burke, and I feel very honored to be sitting up here and talking about our little old Nukumbati that is just been explained by Patricia beautifully. We're north of the north. Yes, we started working, or we went over to Nukumbati, and I'm talking about we as my husband Peter and I. We discovered Nukumbati 25 years ago. This July, it'll be 25 years. And we found this beautiful 45-acre pristine island. And of course, when you find something beautiful, you know, it's not cool unless you share it with other people. Hence the idea of a resort. But we were given this, you know, it's like finding a gem. You can leave it unpolished or you can polish it, but it depends on how you garnish it as to how you bring its beauty out. And that's what we felt we were given with Mkumbati. We found this little gem and we said, let's not rush into it, let's not just do whatever's easiest. It's in a part of Fiji that's difficult. It was difficult to develop.